Henry Chalfant never knows what he'll hear when he gets messages from his telephone answering machine.
Yo, Henry, this is Lask. I bust out a rooftop on the 6th line. Bright colors. Last blockbuster is fresh. Done by Vice Boys, you know the crew. Yo, this guy Case, he probably called you up.
This is an ad, essentially. A graffiti writer lets Henry know that he's spray painted up a New York City subway car. If it sounds like a graffiti masterpiece, one with time and effort behind it, not just some mindless name scrawling, Henry goes after the shot. Putting spray paint on a subway car is illegal, and masterpieces do not light up the line for long. They'll be buffed off by the transit authority or ragged, written over by other graffiti writers. So Henry must be ready to move quickly and be patient to find and photograph that one burner which brings temporary fame to the writer. Henry learned from the graffiti writers themselves that another photographer was documenting the work of the spray paint artists. While Henry covered the cars right on the platform, photographer Martha Cooper was shooting the pieces as part of the urban landscape. Introduced by the graffiti crews that create this forbidden art under dangerous conditions, Martha and Henry became friends and eventually created Subway Art, the definitive survey and photographic book on this most unusual and controversial art form.
My introduction to graffiti came when I was a staff photographer for the New York Post, and I used to shoot pictures on the street in my spare time, and quite by chance, a 14-year-old boy showed me his book of drawings for graffiti. And it was then that I realized the kids were actually planning and drawing designs to put on the trains. And I had never realized that there was anything quite so organized going on. And through this kid, I met a king of one of the lines, Dondi, who explained more about how this was done. And I was fascinated by the whole scene. So through Dondi, I met a lot of other writers, and Dondi took me into the yards, and I spent about 8 hours one night watching him do a piece, a top to bottom whole car. And it was fascinating. And I began to cover various aspects of the graffiti scene, but it wasn't until after Dondi had done that piece that I realized that I needed a shot of the finished product.
You can't imagine how interesting it was, because it was mysterious and you really didn't know who was doing it, and it was new, and you couldn't believe that people were actually getting into the tunnels or wherever they did it for enough time that nobody could catch them, and it was intriguing. And in addition to that, the art that the kids were doing on the trains, I found it to be very exciting and very new in terms of image and form and rhythm and everything. It was very new and very exciting.
As soon as the writers heard that I was going out photographing, I used to get calls on my answering machine, or get calls directly to me, telling me which trains, which lines, which sides the pieces would be facing. And that helped a lot, even though it's not always predictable.
Creating graffiti seems to be an easy field to break into.
Always a way to get into the layups. Like the stick-outs, you got about at least 50 different ways of getting in there.
I met some graffiti writers, like I think it was in 1979, and by that time I'd accumulated this huge collection, and they were really surprised to see it.
Don't laugh. It was just it was a messed up night.
Rainbow colors.
Gun to see your head. Look, 40 cans.
Y'all had everything in the book.
Yo,
bolt cutters.
Look.
Yo, all
gloves.
that stuff was mine. The bolt cutters, the camera, the cans, everything.
Got lost, everything. There's just some cars what we did, some 12s,
Yeah.
KVs.
Yo, I heard somebody rag these cars. I don't know.
Nah, that's a story. But someone ragged this wall already. Did what we did on Houston.
They got up here.
Nah, they didn't get up there. They didn't get up there.
My method for taking pictures of the trains is to stand on the platform with the sun coming over my back, and when the train on the opposite side comes into the station, I take pictures, taking them in series, because I'm about 15 or 20 feet away from the train, and with a 50mm lens, I have to get the whole car in 4 or 5 overlapping shots, which then when I get them to my studio as prints, I can cut them and splice them together and glue them to a background so that they stick together.
In a train station, even if you stand and watch for hours, you just see them zooming past. I mean, even if you stand and see them stop, it's not like seeing them in a book. And our photographs have become a permanent record of something that 20 years from now, or 50 years from now, or even 100 years from now is going to be really rare and unusual.
Well, it's something which is gone. All the pieces in the book are gone, and have been for a couple of years. And really don't see too many new cars.
I mean, this is a very ephemeral art form, and these pieces last 1 day, 2 days, a week at most, in perfect state. And in the book, you can see them forever in their most beautiful state.